Imagine a movie so disastrous it got the director blacklisted for a decade. Now imagine one so disturbing it's still banned in multiple countries today. The 1970s was the golden age of cinema, but it was also a graveyard of expensive failures. We're digging up the films that drove actors insane, bankrupt studios, and prove that sometimes giving a visionary total freedom is a terrible idea. Here are 20 70s disasters nobody noticed.
You bastard!
20. Sorcerer French Connection. Studios gave him whatever he wanted. He chose to film 4 desperate men hauling nitroglycerin through a jungle. The most physically punishing movie imaginable. $22 million later, the production had moved across 3 countries. When the first river dried up mid-shoot, Friedkin relocated everyone and rebuilt a massive suspension bridge from scratch. Then built it again when it wasn't dangerous enough. Roy Scheider nearly drowned during a water crossing. The bridge collapsed with a truck on it. Friedkin kept filming. June 1977. Sorcerer opens alongside Star Wars. First weekend, 2 million versus 3 million. Star Wars played for 44 weeks. Sorcerer disappeared in 3. Paramount wrote off the entire budget. Friedkin got blacklisted. The blank check era ended overnight. Decades later, critics call it a masterpiece. Sometimes being right means being early.
Don't you understand? The killer bees are coming. Get inside immediately.
19. Irwin Allen owned disaster movies. The Poseidon Adventure, The Towering Inferno, massive hits. When he announced Killer Bees as his next project, studios competed to fund it. 21 million bought the most expensive cast ever assembled. Michael Caine, Henry Fonda, Catherine Ross, Richard Widmark, Olivia de Havilland. 12 million just for actors. Then Allen used 22 million real bees during production. Michael Caine got stung 17 times. Henry Fonda walked off for 2 days after a swarm attack. July 1978. Critics laughed at bee point of view shots. Variety called the script less intelligent than the insects. Michael Caine later wrote, "Not even the bees wanted to be in it." Lost 15 million. Disaster films vanished from Hollywood for 2 decades. Allen never recovered. The genre died because nobody can make bees terrifying after Jaws made sharks terrifying.
Hello? We've lost communication with Paris Control, Captain.
18. The Airport franchise printed money early 1970s. Universal thought they could repeat success in 1979. Catastrophic miscalculation. This time, a supersonic jet fights missiles, executes barrel rolls, lands with massive cockpit hole. Special effects looked cheap on release day. Robert Wagner, Susan Blakely, George Kennedy, Alain Delon, star power couldn't save absurd plotting. Critics destroyed it. Audiences laughed at action sequences designed to terrify. 14 million spent, 13 million earned barely. It murdered the disaster franchise completely. Universal never made another airport film. The genre became Punchline, directly enabling Airplane to spoof disaster movies successfully 1 year later. Sometimes franchises need death recognition. This one didn't quit gracefully. It kept running until audiences stopped pretending to care. The industry learned, milk cash cows too long, they eventually die on screen.
I didn't understand a word you said, but whatever it was, I'm right with you.
Well, I'm certain that regular attendance in my classes.
17. Fox wanted their Easy Rider moment. They adapted Gore Vidal's transgressive novel about gender in Hollywood. They hired an inexperienced director, then cast 77-year-old Mae West alongside Raquel Welch. Production became warfare. Mae West demanded separate filming and refused contact with other actors. Raquel Welch and director Michael Sarn had a screaming match that stopped production 3 days. Rex Reed abandoned set twice. June 1970. Roger Ebert called it an insult to intelligence. Rex Reed, who starred in it, said it felt like a $5 million dirty movie made by hippies. Critics used words like unwatchable and catastrophic. Michael Sarn never directed in Hollywood again. Gore Vidal publicly wished he'd burned his manuscript. Raquel Welch called it her worst experience. It remains on worst films ever lists 50 years later. Some disasters achieve immortality.
What's my goddamn hell's the matter with you, Tex? Where the hell have you
My
been?
name's Gans. I'm sorry.
I ain't
16. Easy Rider cost $400,000, earned $60 million. Universal handed Dennis Hopper $1 million and said, do anything. Hopper took a minimal crew to Peru, 11,000 feet elevation, 3 months filming, then he vanished with footage for 18 months. Executives tracked him to New Mexico. He'd been editing alone, allegedly using heavy substances throughout. The result? Deliberate incoherence. Shots out of focus on purpose, scenes running backward, clapboards mid-dialogue, title cards reading "Scene Missing." Hopper was deconstructing cinema itself. September 1971, one theater in New York. Total earnings? $15,000. Universal banned Hopper from directing for a decade. He didn't work again until 1980. But he'd created the most radical experiment in American film, meta-cinema, before the term existed. Cost? His entire career. Value? Immeasurable to film theory.
Hey, man, how's your cat?
Ran away. How's your girl?
She's all right, man. She got busted at a protest rally. I had to bust a pig.
15. Robert Altman took Raymond Chandler's legendary detective Philip Marlowe and turned him inside out. Elliot Gould played him as a mumbling, perpetually confused man who talks to his cat and loses his car. Altman shot everything with slow, voyeuristic zooms through windows and glass walls. Los Angeles became hostile and sun-bleached. The tough detective story got replaced by a guy wandering around out of sync with reality. March 1973. Audiences expected Dirty Harry intensity. They got disconnected dreaminess. United Artists pulled it after 2 weeks. 2 decades later, film schools taught it as the neo-noir blueprint. Without this commercial failure, The Big Lebowski never happens. Neither does Inherent Vice. Altman understood postmodern detective stories before postmodern was a genre. Being 20 years early looks identical to being wrong.
Have a drink. Ow.
14. Sam Peckinpah was drinking heavily when he told the studio, "I'm making this for me. If audiences hate it, that's their problem." Warren Oates plays a pianist hired to retrieve a dead man's head. Peckinpah demanded authenticity. So Oates drove across Mexico for 6 weeks with a rotting pig's head in the passenger seat. The smell was unbearable. Oates reported nightmares for months afterward. Peckinpah carried the decomposing prop in a cooler to show his cinematographer what decay actually looks like. August 1974. $850,000 against a $1.5 million budget. United Artists abandoned it immediately. Critics called it disgusting and unwatchable. Decades later, Criterion Collection release. Filmmakers call it Peckinpah's masterpiece. Sometimes being correct means being alone. Sometimes personal vision and commercial appeal are fundamentally incompatible.
Oh my God.
Get to work, sweetie. You too, lover.
13. Robert Mitchum was 56 and exhausted. Perfect for Eddie Coyle, a gun runner who knows his margins have disappeared. The film contained zero music. Bank robberies filmed like security footage. Mitchum spent nights in actual Boston criminal bars, listening to how real informants talk. The half-finished sentences, long pauses, visible exhaustion of men with no exit. The source novel was written by a former prosecutor who'd spent years recording actual criminals. The dialogue has forensic authenticity. June 1973. Audiences expected The Godfather's operatic spectacle. They got cold procedural realism. Critics respected it. Audiences found it suffocating. Quick theatrical exit. Watch Heat, The Wire, Killing Them Softly. They're copying this film's refusal to glamorize crime. It changed the genre by stripping away mythology. Nobody wanted that lesson in 1973.
Take 15. What's the word?
What word,
The
sir?
word. What's the word?
Action?
Action. Action.
12. Mae West was 85 years old. She agreed to play a character in her 30s, a sex symbol who makes young men compete for her affection. Timothy Dalton, future James Bond, and Tony Curtis play her suitors. West was so frail, every line came through an earpiece. She couldn't memorize dialogue anymore. The cast watched dailies and refused reshoots after seeing themselves. $8 million budget, $50,000 earned. Critics called it tragic rather than comedic, watching a legend humiliate herself. Mae West had dominated Hollywood since the 1930s, 70 years of cultural power. This was her finale, playing a role 40 years too young, unable to remember words in one of history's worst reviewed films. Some careers deserve dignified endings. West didn't get one. The industry watched in horror as a legend destroyed her own legacy.
You to the ever?
Yes.
Staying long?
Yeah, just tonight.
Oh, that's hard luck.
Number 11, Wake in Fright. A school teacher gets trapped in an Australian outback mining town. Locals force beer constantly. The heat suffocates. Everyone's aggressively friendly in threatening ways. He cannot escape. The film includes actual kangaroo hunt footage, real animals killed on camera, brutal and confrontational. Donald Pleasance plays a doctor who surrendered completely to desert madness. Martin Scorsese saw it at Cannes, 1971. Deeply disturbing. Australian audiences avoided it entirely. The physical negative was lost for decades, discovered in a Pittsburgh shipping container marked for destruction in 2004. That rediscovery forced reassessment. Critics realized Australia had been hiding a masterpiece about toxic masculinity and isolation. The country had spent 30 years suppressing this mirror. Sometimes national identity requires amnesia. Wake in Fright refused to be forgotten. It proved violence isn't always action, sometimes it's hospitality. 10. Aguirre, the Wrath of God. Werner Herzog stole a camera from Munich Film School and dragged a crew into Peruvian jungle. Klaus Kinski stared at everyone with predatory intensity. Herzog later admitted he'd planned Kinski's murder if he attempted departure. They hauled actual brass cannons up vertical mountain mud, no lightweight props permitted. The opening shot shows conquistadors descending a ridge so steep it appears physically impossible, because it was. 1972 release, virtually nothing earned. Festival screenings only. Herzog made it for $370,000. Even that seemed wasted. Years of word of mouth later, Roger Ebert calls it among the greatest films ever made. It established the benchmark for wilderness filmmaking, where on-screen madness mirrors behind-camera madness. Herzog proved you could make masterpieces by nearly killing everyone involved. The industry learned the opposite lesson. Never give Herzog that much freedom again. Number 9. Mikey and Nicky. Elaine May negotiated final cut approval. Paramount's fatal error. She shot 1.4 million feet of film for a 90-minute movie. Enough raw footage for 40 features. 3 cameras ran simultaneously every scene, capturing every angle conceivable. Peter Falk and John Cassavetes improvised for hours. May let them continue. Then she disappeared into editing for over a year. Paramount sued to retrieve their film. When they finally released it, December 1976, 4 theaters only, buried immediately. $4 million spent, nothing earned. May didn't direct again for 11 years. Studios permanently remembered. Critics who actually saw it called it brilliant character work. Almost nobody saw it. May proved that unlimited creative control without oversight produces either masterpieces or expensive disasters. This was both simultaneously too good for commercial release, too uncommercial for critical reassessment.
Did you have to do that to me in front of some dumb bitch to prove you got all the women?
I didn't know that was gonna happen.
8. 2 guys race cars across America. Minimal dialogue. No character names. No conventional plot. James Taylor and Dennis Wilson from the Beach Boys play leads. Neither had acted before. Director Monty Hellman wanted that inexperience. Pure minimalism. Long shots of empty highways, engine sounds, oppressive silence. The film ends with actual celluloid burning in the projector. Screen goes white mid-scene. Universal had zero idea how to market it. Esquire put James Taylor on the cover, declaring it Movie of the Year before public screenings. Created impossible expectations. July 1971. Critics praised the art. Audiences wanted car chases, got existential meditation. Universal pulled it quickly. Film students later celebrated its refusal to entertain. Regular audiences just felt cheated. Hellman made anti-cinema for cinema lovers. The gap between those groups proved unbridgeable. 7. Terrence Malick's cinematographer Nestor Almendros was losing his vision, so they shot almost exclusively during the 20-minute golden hour at dusk. Crew waited hours daily for perfect light. Many threatened mutiny. Malick barely scripted dialogue. He filmed wheat moving, faces catching sun. Words felt secondary to images. When the love triangle collapses, a real locust swarm attacks. Biblical plague on camera. 2 years editing to find the film's structure. Malick added Linda Manz's improvised child narration to create coherence. Technically broke even, but Hollywood considered it failure. The ordeal destroyed Malick. He vanished for 20 years. Didn't direct again until 1998. Cinematographers worldwide study every frame now. It proved lenses capture emotion words cannot. Beautiful films often cost everything. Malick paid that price. His absence was the industry's loss.
The true sign of the devil! No!
Number 6. The Devils. Ken Russell made a film about possessed nuns in medieval France. Warner Brothers cut 20 minutes before release. Still too extreme. That censored version remains banned in multiple countries. The full cut? Never legally available in America. Oliver Reed performed a full nude orgy scene. The Rape of Christ sequence caused mass walkouts at Cannes. Derek Jarman's production design recreated medieval architecture at unprecedented scale, made half its budget back. Critics split between blasphemy and masterpiece. Ireland still bans it. Vatican condemned it. Russell wanted to expose religious hypocrisy through confrontational imagery. He succeeded at shocking, failed at box office. Martin Scorsese calls it an uncompromised great work. Studios learned that some subjects, regardless of execution quality, are commercially impossible. Russell proved artistic integrity doesn't pay theater rent.
Hello.
I didn't recognize your voice.
No?
No.
Oh, no. I've been away, haven't I?
5. Performance. James Fox plays a gangster hiding in Mick Jagger's decaying London townhouse. Production was drug-fueled chaos. Boundaries between actors and roles dissolved completely under environmental pressure. Fox spent months embedded with real London criminals, absorbing their mannerisms and psychology. The method work broke him. After filming Wrapped, Fox had a complete psychological breakdown, abandoned acting, and joined a religious cult for several years. Warner Brothers executives screened it. One executive's wife became physically ill during viewing. They shelved it in 2 years, horrified by graphic violence merged with sexuality. 1970 release. Critics called it extraordinary. Regular audiences avoided it. Performance isn't remembered for story, it's remembered for literally destroying its lead actor's sanity. Fox proved some roles are too psychologically dangerous to inhabit. The film became his evidence. 4. A concentration camp survivor encounters her former SS officer in a Vienna hotel. Instead of fleeing, they begin a relationship. The film explores how trauma creates private language between victim and perpetrator. Charlotte Rampling performs wearing only SS cap and suspenders in a nightclub, reenacting trauma for former Nazis. Dirk Bogarde drew on his actual experience as an officer who witnessed camp liberations during the war. 1974 Italy. The film faced criminal trial for public decency violations. Critics dismissed it as exploitation. The film refuses moral escape routes or easy judgments. Commercial failure followed immediately. Most audiences couldn't process the subject matter. Film scholars still debate exploitation versus profundity. It remains one of cinema's most taboo subjects, a major studio examining bonds that shouldn't exist. Bogarde and Rampling created something genuinely dangerous.
Your first job?
Yeah.
I'll show you the pool. Hey!
3. A 15-year-old boy obsesses over his older coworker at a London bathhouse. The film descends into darkness until shocking violence erupts. Polish director Jerzy Skolimowski shot it in Munich's underground pool culture. The bathhouse setting creates claustrophobia, tiles, steam, water, escalating disturbing behavior. The ending arrives without warning and leaves viewers shaken. 1970 Paramount release, minimal promotion. European critics praised it. American audiences ignored it completely. The film vanished for decades. 2000's Rediscovery, now considered a psychological tension masterpiece. But 1970 audiences rejected a coming-of-age story concluding in murder. Skolimowski's Hollywood career never recovered. He'd made something too psychologically complex for the market. Deep End proved teen films could be genuinely disturbing. Nobody wanted that proof then. The genre stayed safe for another generation. 2. King Hu made a 3-hour martial arts film prioritizing silence over action. He waited months for bamboo forest to reach exact height needed for one vertical ambush sequence. When fights occur, they're shot with slow, clinical precision, opposing the chaotic cutting dominating 1970s action. The camera tracks movement through trees with documentary clarity. The studio panicked at runtime. They split it into 2 parts, destroying narrative impact. 1971 premiere, audiences expected rapid choreography, received meditation and stillness. 1975 Cannes, major technical prize. Suddenly, global cinema had to respect martial arts as legitimate art form. Without this commercial failure, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon never exists. Hu proved action could be contemplative. The genre learned to breathe. But first, it had to suffocate at the box office. Patience costs money. 1. Saul Bass designed iconic movie posters and title sequences for decades. He wanted to direct one film, Super Intelligent Ants Conquering Earth. Paramount gave him modest budget. Bass used 200,000 real ants with specialized macro photography. The insects move like liquid intelligence, building geometric structures. Genuinely unsettling. Bass shot a 10-minute psychedelic ending showing humanity's transformation into hive consciousness. Paramount executives cut it entirely. Too weird. 1974 release. Audiences rejected cerebral science fiction about insects. Bass never directed again. Returned to title design. That lost ending? Discovered in 2012. Scholars realized Paramount had mutilated a visionary work. The complete version finally made sense, influenced Arrival and Annihilation decades later. Sometimes executives destroy what they don't understand. Bass paid the price. His singular directorial vision got compromised into commercial failure. These weren't just bad movies, they were expensive lessons that changed Hollywood forever. Some deserved to fail, others were ahead of their time. All of them prove that freedom without limits can be dangerous.